So I just want to quick show that I'm low 5k MMR player right now. And today we're going to be looking at iceiceice playing Bloodseeker, which according to DodoBuff is the current highest win rate offlane at like 54%. It's like 8th highest win rate or something. And it's not a hero that I personally play. So I think it'll be quite interesting to see what iceiceice does.
Balance in all things.
If player perspective works. It does. Cool. Because I haven't played Bloodseeker at all, especially since he has switched to this offlane type thing where you go like Veil, Yules, even some like Greaves mech type stuff, maxing silence and just being a general pain. I've seen a couple replays here and there that I haven't like actually done analyses on, where I'd even seen like a Bloodseeker like beat Jug in lane, which seems really interesting to me. So like the last time, I'm gonna start with the item builds. So he goes Stick, which is standard versus PA. I see a lot of people drop like either a set of regen or even their quelling to go for Stick. I know iceiceice in general really values this Orb of Venom though. He'll get it on like Pangoliers, even though the top like Lukey top tier Pangoliers will like never buy that item, even offlane. They always like prioritize getting quelling and such. But iceiceice consistently goes for Orb of Venom over Quelling Blade on basically like any hero. Or any like melee offlane hero, which is primarily what he plays. So I think that'll be a little interesting. Stick will also be value throughout the game with versus Batrider and everything. So I know it's very standard to ferry some regen to lane directly after the bounty rune. So we'll see if he goes for another set of tangos. I feel like tangos are probably most value. PA is not going to be doing a lot of damage. PA is really like not that strong of a laner early on, and like your nukes are doing so much damage. Of course, you can't really deny everything because she can always just dagger creeps. And we know we have a CM4. That's actually interesting. CM is really good at harassing and very good at securing the range creep. Bloodseeker's pretty good at that as well. And in theory, I think you could probably couple the slow plus the nuke to hit both enemies. The pause 5 is like Grimstroke. Let's see what region items he has once he gets in. Let me speed through this pause. Grimstroke is also not super threatening. There's always a risk of Grimstroke doing the Inkswell into PA blinking on you and stunning. So you gotta be a little cautious of that. But Bloodseeker has such nice base stats. I actually didn't know this. Like 5 armor, 60 damage. Like that's pretty fucking nice to trade with. And look over here. Yeah, PA is much worse damage. And also went Stick. Interesting. Okay. Immediate nuke. Immediately got range creep. I'm assuming they're going for fast level 2. Because CM's like very strong early. And I'm gonna pause real quick. I want to check the CM's items. Okay. Yeah, so we have Mango, so she can go Frostbite Nova level 1, 2. I'm actually surprised she went Frostbite. I guess this guarantees whatchamacallit? Blood rate. But you usually see Q. I guess you're worried about PA Max maybe taking Blink Phantom Strike early to dodge the nuke. That's interesting. I think level 2 is probably very valuable. This lane. I think probably play much more aggressive. PA also doesn't have great damage. Oh, also look at this. That is so much damage actually. It's nuts. Yeah, I've definitely seen this like very high level aggression out of Bloodseekers. Because this is so spammable. It's 70 mana, 120 pure damage. Holy shit, I didn't know it was that high level one. So like there's no way anyone trades with you. He actually gets level 2 first, probably from the Grimstroke not like showing that much in lane. Or like staying outside of EXP range. Kinda surprised he didn't figure out Mangoes, but he's going for stats and tangos instead. He knows they pull. See, I wouldn't have noticed this as fast. I need to pay better attention at the lane. Cause like you should be able to tell instantly. Ooh. This feels a little sketchy. He's gonna take a lot of damage. That's the other thing though, because Bloodseeker heals up. I guess iceiceice also really highly prioritizes this. I see this consistently, him like pulling creeps, which is lame. Dodge the stun. CM still CM at the end of the day. And just CS for free. Yeah, actually Tango's seen with the full creep wave. Because I don't really have a good read on how much he heals per last hit. But it seems like a pretty hefty amount. Like he's... With this last hit, he should be full HP. I guess the Tango went the full duration, so that's fine. I'm also surprised how much he's using this nuke. I'm sorry, the level... It's 50% extra damage at level... Once he hits level 3 and level 2 in the spell. But I guess CM just did respawn, and sitting at full mana is useless. Take a tower shot. They're just playing so aggressive. But the question becomes now, I guess he has sticks, so he can recharge some of his mana. He's going boots. I guess mainly to run down the Grimstroke. Or like outrun Inkswell stuff. But I'm really surprised he's not flying out mangoes. He might change his mind. Because in theory he has 2 more nukes. He has sticks, so maybe a third, depending on how much they are casting spells. I'm not sure about this PA just randomly queuing him either. Like that does literally nothing. So I know sometimes he'll like just drag the creeps here. Okay, wait, this is weird. So often I'll see him give up a ranged creep. I wanna go back. Slow this down. Okay, so he pulled some aggro. He knows this is gonna die. Can't contest this, whatever. I know often he'll grab like these melee creeps and say, fuck it, whatever. You can pull my melee creeps into... Oh, maybe it's because it's in tower range? Because in theory, if the PA pulls these melee creeps into this range creep, right? These creeps are gonna die before this gets to half health because the tower's right here. But in theory, I feel like you can do some creep manipulation. You also right-click the creep down. Maybe he knows because the PA feels so pressured. The PA just wants to kill this immediately and just get whatever CS he can. But it feels very strange to me that he's only pulling a single creep here. But I could be missing something. In fact, I'm probably missing something. Go back to full speed. Also, you see his Dota 1 habits of actually clicking on his courier to buy items, which I think is very funny. That being said, like in theory, you look at his mana pool and you're like, oh, he can cast it 5 times. But CM going Bazzy first item. She doesn't even have aura yet. But as soon as she gets it, it's gonna be really annoying. Single pull again, he goes to contest. So I was just watching a Kazu replay too recently. So I'm curious of like, gotta think about who goes to contest. So obviously Bloodseeker can throw W down easily and zone him away. And CM can nuke under tower, but in theory that could be switched as well. And in theory if CM's there, she has a slow, it'd be easier to set up for a second nuke from Bloodseeker. Not too sure. I'm just amazed at like how much mana he has. Oh, holy shit. Okay. Here you're seeing the value of Orb Venom. You can probably get the courier kill as well. He's really good, nice camera control. He knows he's already dead, so he's like started looking up towards the PA. This is CS. He's giving up the bounties, but whatever. He's also really good at this, is like quick panning over to other lanes to draw creep aggro. Should deny this full wave, which is really nice. I miss what he bought. I guess he's not like spamming the W off cooldown though. Like it feels like he's using it a lot, but I think I'm also just like like he grabs clarity too, that's nice. I just feel like I'm probably just underutilizing them in general. Okay, so he sees a creep wave here, so he knows they didn't pull. They're just gonna run at them. You have basically full mana. He's like, well, you'll definitely trade mana to make the other team feel pressure. Okay, this was talking about early, so you always have to worry about the Inkswell into Phantom Strike. This is a bad idea. He has 18 stick charges. Yeah. That being said, because he didn't go like stats, this is a sketch. I think that was way too close. Grimstroke no boots though, so he's probably fucked. That was very close. He obviously knows the limits of the hero very well, but see, I wouldn't have thought that other people would TP as well. Maybe teammates calling it out, or more likely just better map awareness. I thought, honestly, it was Jenkins recently put out a video about 4 things Miracle Anti-Mage does that you don't, whatever. And one of the big takeaways I had from that was always expect the enemy team to do the right thing, or like the optimal move. So obviously if you're showing in lane with no HP and they're missing off the map, you can expect them to TP. But also I wasn't looking at the minimap at all during that entire engage, so that's something that I personally would have to work on. He's probably gonna nuke here. Shove this out, get more HP. He's also full mana. Yeah. Bassie's insane. Bassie CM. Holy cow. Well thought though. He actually flew out 2 sets of regen. Interesting. Really aggro. He's not level 6 yet. I think he could have waited a wave. I like Atos. I really like that people transition away from Yules to Atos. I feel like Yules is solid. And obviously in a lane like where you don't have a Bassie CM, you have to worry about mana regen more. The one thing I've personally like theory crafted a bit is that like it got really sketchy when the PA actually engaged on the Bloodseeker. I think it'd be interesting if Bloodseekers, offlane Bloodseekers specifically, started getting more stats. Like, oh, the fact that it gives vision too. Very nice. Here's who heard the TP. Yeah. Well, his aggression is met. See, I would have been greedy. I would have went to just farm that small camp. So he's going for a kill. Smart. That's so much damage, actually. That's actually ludicrous. 240 pure damage. 5-second silence. Ooh, lad. Love doing this. He knows he's ahead. Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not put up, like, Lasset Denies. Yeah, he's crushing this left lane. Also, I'm primarily looking at replays where they win, because that's the type of behavior I want to, like, recreate, rather than... There's always opportunities to learn from mistakes, sure, but I feel like there would be too many things I'm missing, or there's just too many things I don't know. And specifically in a situation like this where I don't know the Bloodseeker hero, and I'd love to get better at him, considering how good he is right now, and I am, what do we call it? I'm a big fan of, like, just spamming meta heroes. Well, not even just meta heroes, but heroes are interesting. I'm definitely a hero spammer, and I think that's a really easy way to improve at Dota 2 in general. But I was saying, I think it would be really interesting if they went more of this like stat-heavy build. Like obviously Atos gives stats and whatnot, but like 2 crowns isn't going to compare to like treads or phase or something. Because I feel like there's often situations where, sure, W makes it hard for them to like trade with you, but after the nuke comes out, like you have to wait 10 seconds or whatever for it to come up again, which is kind of awkward. And you're just like looking at each other, or just like smacking each other. And I feel like you can get a lot of value out of like right-click items, especially because Uv. I don't know. It's the trade-off of how valuable is it to like absolutely rush these first items like Yules and Atos versus being able to push through advantage slightly more. Because I feel like his treads or something with like this CS advantage, which is kind of going away right now. He could actually like pressure the lane harder, or like contest CS harder, maybe. There's always this priority on the mid lane, as BSJ has said in like all of his recent videos. I appreciate. He has no TP. I also didn't really talk about him rotating from offlane to mid. I guess that's in part because Ember. I don't like playing top. I don't know. Yeah, he's top 4. That's insane. So he's quite scary. Wants to push his advantage. So this is the awkward place. Like I've gotten to this position, especially on like really lane dominating heroes. Sometimes on like Tidehunters, Timber Saws, whatever. Like you're completely unkillable. You've zoned the safe laner out of his lane. You've taken his tower. You've rotated over. You've become like an immovable object in mid. You've taken the mid tower. Now what? I think, because like it's strange for me. I'm thinking like, okay, I want my carry to farm the triangle. Obviously, why can't I draw? It's player perspective. My bad. Um, I want my carry player to like take this, probably take this. The mid laner can do that too if they want to be aggressive. Which, like, should I be taking this farm? That feels a little strange to me. This feels like quite unsafe. But I guess you're the offlaner, fine. So I guess you can like rotate between mid and these camps. Or like the actual like lane creeps if the carry doesn't want to show and just wants to farm these jungle creeps. So it looks like he's headed to the bottom lane. Go back to player perspective. But still a very aggressive move. He doesn't have mana. I mean, if he pops his wand, he's fine for ulti and W, but also really like this that he's like playing together with his Venge. There's 3 heroes here. Also, I definitely should note that like this is a very solid Bloodseeker game just because Pango's on the team. I play a fair amount of Pango. I really enjoy the character, and playing versus Bloodseeker is just such a fucking pain. So okay, so he's stuck around mid. He's kind of looking to fight. He just got his first item. Sees too many heroes. He's like, nah, I'm out of here. And then what? Bot lane's already pushed. Okay, he sees them starting to separate and maybe wants to go in that. Bloodseeker definitely feels like more of a skirmisher than team fighter. So, but like, I don't know. Alright. Atos W. God, that's gross. And just TP. Now where does he go? Because like I said, like this, he knows his safe laner wants to be farming like this area. And I think something I've definitely noticed from iceiceice replays is much better at just like actually just walking places. Like I'm always like, oh, I gotta be super efficient. I want to like take this farm some jungle creeps on my way to one place or another. But he's just like, oh fuck it, whatever. I'll get there eventually. Because he basically just walked from this Radiant Heart camp over here. Just playing with the team. I guess it makes sense just to try to take over this area, make it as unsafe as possible for the enemy team. I feel like there should be a priority on defending mid, so I'm assuming he goes there next? No, Ember's got it. Okay. And that's interesting too. He hasn't really played around the Ember, but mainly around his supports. This could be a timing thing. Also, what does Ember have? Ember doesn't have anything. Oof. Oh jeez. Okay. Drowse, Dragonlance, farm Ancients. So yeah. iceiceice is definitely one to be placing the most pressure. Just for this ahead. I really like that Atos to make sure he doesn't get like dragged into the tower. Because that fight could have looked completely different if he did. Very aggressive. Also, he has yet to back. It's kind of insane to me. There's no Atos. It's probably just gonna keep preemptive, deep, blood rate in case the Pangolier swashbuckled. I keep trying to say like the skill names. I'm probably just gonna go with the QWER because that's like what I say in my head. Unless it's like something obvious like tiny avatars. Farming creeps. This is sketch. I guess he's trying to kill just to regain some HP. Even then, yeah, I really like playing around the sports because with Atos and Bloodrite, like you set up so many easy kills. Anti-mobility. I haven't thought about like Bloodseeker as like an anti-mobility hero with like this Atos build, considering just like how valuable silences are generally versus like Embers, Storm Spirits, whatever. Because generally, like in my head, I'm just like too used to the carry Bloodseeker, who's just like running around and it's like trying to smack you. It doesn't really have the level of control, so they go like SMY or Radiance or whatever. So I'm a huge fan of this build and this new like offlane playstyle. Yeah, he has yet to go to the top side of the map either a single time, which I think is really interesting. I think. Alright, let's do this team fight first. Come back to the solo. Bounties. Okay, so that was bad. I'm not written any notes. Let's see, what have I learned thus far? It's 15 minutes of the game. He's 407. Spam W. It's just so strong. Just like the mana cost to damage ratio. It's just out of this world. Atos is really nice. Still not sure about the build up, how we play in lane. Contest small camp pools. Because it's just so easy to zone supports. With his W. On that, I think the biggest thing that like I'm bad at is not dying. Because that time that the tiny rotated bot, kind of similar to the Sanking game that I reviewed, where he didn't actually die. Because like remember, so it's the Jenkins idea. Assume enemy will do the right move. Don't feed. Because of course, like this is this close, and he's 407. Like, yeah, 3K net worth lead across the board is nice, but like his PA that he like could shut down is so close, and PA can get really scary because when she gets Battle Fury, Deso, whatever, she'll go like one item to the next so fucking fast. You definitely don't want to get to that. I love the raindrops. I see a lot of high level offlaners doing this too, just early raindrops. He goes Medallion over. He had queued up Greaves earlier. Greaves gets rid of. I guess they don't have like any huge debuffs on their team. Obviously, like I'm healing one of those. TP to top tried to deal with the lane, but it feels like a mistake a bit. Again, yeah, they have some net worth lead, but I would not be capping the state. Medallion makes sense because you just like toss it on whoever gets lassoed. He has no rupture. Rupture goes through BKB, so you can just rupture Pangolier roll, which is really nice. But see how awkward it is? Like he drops his W, and then just like right clicks for it. I guess he has 128 damage. Why does it not feel that much? Maybe I'm underestimating it. But I feel like his right clicks are worthless. I guess his W does so much damage in comparison. See, like this, like he ruptures and like he can't really fight them, but I guess he zones off the rest of them. And I think he probably really excels with these extended team fights. Because he keeps standing up, you just keep getting faster and more damage. Or, I'm not sure if Thirst gives more damage anymore. Move speed, heal. Alright, never mind. But I think this Medallion seems quite interesting. I think an underrated part of Pangolier is that his passive reduces armor. I think it's just that and P8. It's basically going to be a 4P1 team for Radiant where P's going to do all the work. So, just wants Medallion. For that, supports. I didn't see him really using the team fight though. I could have missed it. And he's still going back for Greaves. It also gives the casual mana regen, which is quite nice, because he didn't go Yules, he's like kind of struggling after he left the CM from lane. We saw when he was running around mid, he was like, quite low. But that was also before he bought Clarity, Raindrop, Medallion, like an Arcanes now, which I think all points to like, holy shit, he spends so much mana now. Just spamming his W off CD fights. Unfortunate. It was also the first time he went to top, and that was only with a huge like team fight happening. So that's what I want to talk about. Beaster has this concept that, like in my head, I'm just like, all right, there's 3 lanes. You want at least 1 hero in each one. You gotta like deal with it, whatever. You don't want it like pushed into your tower, yada yada. Which I think kind of makes sense. But a better idea is that you want to just take control of 2, because if you can take control of 2, then the other enemy team, obviously, there's 3 lanes. They have 1 left, right? You'll definitely be winning. We're getting like twice as much lane creeps, and lane creeps are just so much value compared to jungle creeps. And it just like enables each other. Because he had like his angry tidbits video focusing on like, oh, if you just control mid and their safe lane, or your off lane, I guess, you can just control, you can enable each other, because you can just like shove this wave and then go help if you want to play aggressive bot. Or just take over the jungle area and just make it feel incredibly unsafe. Like this is the first tower they took too. And I think that's no coincidence. Because it's like really awkward to go here. At some point they're going to try to take over the triangle and Roche Pit, I think, if possible, or even smoke there. But that's very difficult. A lot of towers, a lot of places TP2, high grounds, and whatnot. And like walking up to high ground blind is like the easiest way to fucking throw a Dota game. But if you just like control these two lanes, which I think probably should be priority as a dire offlaner, because like after you take this tower, you let your priority farmer take this farm here, and you just deal with mid, a couple of creeps here, maybe camp or two here. Because he's mainly just running between these. He like clears this camp every once in a while, or this lane, then runs bot to enable those here. I think that makes a lot of sense. And then maybe you'll take over the lane once the priority farmer goes back into your triangle. I think something like that kind of makes sense as like a framework to think about. Okay. I was like, headdress in this is really weird. Yeah, region's nice, but they also do a much better. I should know this. They do a much better doing prioritizing power runes. Prioritizing. Can't spell. And again, I'll show this little notepad I'm taking notes on at the end of the game. Because like they're potentially game changing. Haste, DD, illusion less so, but if you even like bait some key spells. Hey, is he down? No. Immediately breaks the smoke. I guess he's really prioritizing the mech. The later you get the mech, the more fucking useless it is, because it's flat amount of armor and heal that you're getting. Someone's there. Free kill. Nice. It was so nice and plus one. Oh, didn't commit up for it. I kind of want to watch this fight. Slow-mo? No, he just dies. I think next team fight, I'm just going to slow down and just see what targets he's prioritizing, where he's going. So obviously, like in theory, if someone's committing, like you can use W to peel really nicely, just like get people off your backliner. Oh, poor Benj. Benj also has. Wait a second. Maybe it's a casual buckler. I'm sure they communicated. Shit, what was it saying? I'm gonna slow down the fight, just see who's prioritized. Because yeah, okay, so you can drop Bloodseeker to peel off of targets. Because like they really don't want to take this fucking like 300 damage pure damage nuke, which goes up at 15. It's not there yet. Also, okay, he does use Q to farm sometimes. That's something I wanted to say. He also didn't grab a value point until quite late. I think he'd be nice to get. Not sure. Yeah, I want to see how he prioritizes fights. Obviously, if you find a switch support, if he drops a W in Atos and they can't move, they're gonna die. Like Ember can just do Slight Fist or draw drops a knee or whatever. So he dealt with one lane top and he immediately gets out of there. Dead lane, and again, I think they're prioritized just mid and bot. Those are the lanes that actually matter. At least while dire. Or they just want to play around two. And you can't play around top and bot. Because you just let them, like, they'll never work. They'll just gank one of the side lanes and you'll just feed. So he's sticking around mid, stealing some camps. I would go to their medium camp next. So I'm going to try to, like, start predicting a little bit of where he's going to go. Get a better idea of, like, oh, is my idea the right one? Or am I missing something? Because he shoved that one lane top, right? And it just shows, like, how much you can farm in the meantime before it, like, gets back into a place that he actually has to deal with it. And also considering he has, like, an Ember on his team, he doesn't care too much. That being said, it was 20 minutes, right? So, in theory, there should be a catapult top. Slows down. Free cam. Yes, okay. 20 minutes, so catapult spawn in every 5 minutes. The catapult mid has already been dealt with. Kind of sad. But this side lanes, because just there's so far to go before they get here, are going to be showing up like a full minute later. So be curious to see what does he do knowing there's catapult there. Like someone has to deal with this. Probably Drow's job, which is just farming. Although if any core TP's here, it's pretty sketch, because that's just signaling for the Radiant team to be like, go smoke at them right now, because this core can't join the fight. So I'm kind of surprised he didn't like make his way back, because this is the concept I saw in the Sand King video that like, oh, you really want to be prioritizing these catapults, because they're gonna get a shit ton of damage on the top tower if they don't work. Like, don't do it. Yeah, see, so he looks there. Those are the catapult. So everything he does there is gonna come at a cost, I think. They're also just looking to fight, because if they get a decent fight, they also take Roche really easily. Is he gonna start running top? Because that's what I would do. But the way they're grouping makes me think smoke. He has mech. He's smoked. Everyone with that one. Oh, he's baiting. Interesting. So look how slow he is though. Kind of crazy. Again, top's just taking. Your top tower is under attack. Running into the high ground blind. That's how you throw games. Let's see how it goes. He's so lucky to get this. Just try to get the W on as many targets as possible. Kind of kills the CM. He uses items. He wants to disengage. Now you're just like playing like support. You're waiting your CDs, waiting to drop the W. Yeah, okay. See, this is what I was talking about with the medallion. So with medallion and mech, he's actually giving a fair amount of armor to his allies. If I was here, I'd left click the PA just to see the rotation on the BKB, but he probably just knew, or you just count. I'm much more of a visual person. Sticking around at the edge of the team fight, he knows Atis is back up, so maybe help that way. And they couldn't get on the Drow, they couldn't burst Bloodseeker. But do you see how dangerous that was? Like, here, let me go back to pause here. The beginning of that team fight. Ember knew they were high ground, right? Because their smoke broke. But he has 1900 health and fucking 39 armor. He almost gets fucking destroyed. Pango gets rooted immediately from the CF, which was nice. So Pango wasn't able to throw out more damage. That was Bloodseeker screwed. I guess it's also his job to get up there and tank the majority of the damage and like heal up, sustain through it. But I think there's a very fine line there. So I think if he dies, like it's way sketchier. He doesn't get this mech off, the CM dies way earlier. Dude, the CM dies regardless. The CM dies earlier, this PA probably doesn't commit. Bloodseeker. Again, the Bloodseeker will be dead, so he can just commit directly onto the Drow. Yeah, so I think that was really sketchy, actually. And it shows just like, yeah, he's 5-1 and 13, which is insane, right? But he's so close to just like dying and throwing that lead away. And then just like reiterating some points, just like how fucking dangerous it is walking up to high ground blind. I mean, at least the Ember went in like deep first, just to get info. He knows they can't like insta-kill him, maybe. I don't know. With the last one and whatnot, that could have been scary too. He doesn't have any defensive items. He has Ags, so he can zip around fast. And I guess maybe this top lane wasn't as big as a concern as I thought it was. It actually took 500 damage. That's it. Okay. I guess without a hero there, and without their ability to... Because if someone showed... Conversely, like we were talking if Dire showed someone on the top side, but if Radiant does the same thing, then it's just all green lights for Dire to just fucking push down mid lane. Let's go hit next. Love it. I love just building these tanky items and being annoying. Because in part was problem is that like Tiny just did so much damage to the Abatos there. And he doesn't want to risk getting that close. Because he knows it too. That was way too close for comfort. You could actually do Ancients on Bloodseeker. I hadn't thought about that. Oh, there goes Venge. Top lane's dangerous walking that way because the tier 1's still up. Again, he really doesn't really want to play there until like all the other objectives are taken. Because if there's a tier 1 or tier 2 there, like it doesn't really make a difference. They both make Roshan contesting more difficult. There's not a huge difference there, tier 1 up or not, in my opinion. It's got the catch cloak. Love it. Is he gonna send his courier to the secret shop? My iceiceice. Where's the micro? Let me go push though. Oh, this Ember's so aggressive. I guess they have vision. It's quite nice. Just put out the supports. He's just hovering around his like supports. In case they get gone on. He's like this really nice like meat shield type thing. Because he doesn't really like stand in the thick of it always. Especially when he's low, he wants to like cut in and out a bit. Because his right clicks aren't super threatening. But being able to keep his like squishy supports alive is pretty big. So do they go Roche or are they gonna deal with top lane first and push down the top towers? It's a little scary. He's walking a bit away from his Drow. In theory, they could jump him. I guess Bat's showing, which is the biggest initiation fear for Drow. I'm surprised he's like staying that far up. I guess he's... Oh! They could potentially smoke from that way. And standing high ground would break smokes. It's using Curry to smoke. Oh, that. Yeah. Watch anything that comes from the left. Work that. Oh, I love stealing the creep wave too. Like when you're just doing this, when you're pushing down a wave, just go to the side lane real quick, pick up the creeps. You know the creeps spawn every 30 seconds, and you just look at the creeps on your side of the map to get an estimate of where the enemy creeps are. So he sees like, oh, our creep is up there, tier 2. Their creeps will be there too. So he quick cuts this, forces more pressure on this tower that no one wants to defend. What shenanigans are happening? Now Tiny's dead, he doesn't have to worry about getting bursted that hard. He's like, alright, cool, whatever. I have 20 regen in a second. Also, I really like this hood before Greaves. I think I've made the mistake before where I finish Greaves when it's not necessary. There's not like a huge silence or something that I have to worry about. And yeah, it's like cool. I basically get more mana instead of like having magic resist. It's huge. Now he stands right behind us. Carry. Look at that. Like, just because he cut 2 creep waves, it's a free tier 1 that, like, there's no way in hell they can contest. They can start immediately pushing the tier 2 instead of, like, if he hadn't dealt with it, the creep wave would be, like, hitting their tier 2 right now. That would let everyone respawn, reset, whatever. And it's all about, like, this tempo and, like, pushing the advantage. So I really like that. I really like that. I should put that on. So right now, focusing on 2 lanes. Instead of all 3. I just hit a number. Shouldn't have done that. Unfortunately, I think the sound cuts out when I tap over to Notepad, but so focusing on 2 lanes instead of 3. Hit over, finishing Greaves, and cutting waves when on defensive. I think this also applies when you're on the defensive though. There's definitely opportunities where you're like say you're Radiant, you're like, shit, they're pushing out this tower, and you're up here behind their tier 2s, cutting creeps. You definitely see this as a common like stall tactic. Here again, Tiny's up, which is scary. He doesn't want to get like tossed back into the base, but even then, I think he's probably gonna... We'll see. If Drow can freely just do shit. Alright. They timed Aegis really well. Aegis is gone. Let's slow this down. Sorry, let's go back. I want to see his target prioritization and whatnot. So we know Aegis is expiring. He sees people start posturing forward, so he starts walking forward immediately. Because he knows that they want to jump Drow. Drow does all the damage. That's all he really cares about, so he wants to like be an annoyance in the way. They jump at the same time. It's really nice. Get pulled. He can't do anything right now, right? He gets swapped, cancel, and E-bladed. Nice. There's a huge group of enemies. Bloodright's on cooldown. Who does he rupture? Who does he rupture? Batrider's last is on cooldown. Grimstroke's fucking support, we don't give a shit. Probably PA? Although PA is kind of like... Okay, so if he ruptures PA, then Drow can run away. If he goes for Pango, Pango's mid-roll, and he's probably going to have to cancel it or just take a metric shit ton of damage. So those are probably the targets he's going for. And then, because Tiny's low, he's probably going to look to Atos that and drop a W here. Maybe try to catch the bat. Obviously, these two are magic immune, so it doesn't matter. Let's see. He ruptures bat, that's a Lotus. Okay. I'm confused. Does there a refresher or something? No, he definitely just lasted. I don't know how useful he is. Maybe he's worried about the disrupt flame break and be able to push Drow into their team once BKB is over. Okay, interesting. So he ruptures himself. He's like, fuck. Okay. These two are still magic immune. See what I said earlier about like this peel idea? So he does the same thing. He just like drops in front, so it's more difficult for the rest of the Radiant team to like follow up on his Drow. Because he knows Drow is priority number 1. CM knows that too. That's why CM is dropping the ulti right there. to make it more difficult to run through and to like isolate these targets. Player perspective is kind of, yeah. E-Blades himself, again, because they know like physical damage is all they have to worry about. So I really like this E-Blade decision off of Drow as well. Number 2, Atos PA. Okay. That stacked stuns, for sure. Did he just run and kill himself from Atos? Or from Rupture? Okay, ice. Thankfully, they couldn't kill the Drow, which was like their Radiance like win condition. So PAs don't buy back either. Drow's just sitting in the back, chunking everyone. It's probably over. He has no ulti. Ember's doing good jobs frontlining. Ember also has E-Blade. Yo, these kids are wild. Wait, I actually really like that. E-Blade versus PA. Like, Nullifier's like a fine item, but it's kind of awkward. It's not something you like actually want to build. And BS3 has this really cool idea that like the character that has to adjust their build less was probably the one winning in a certain matchup. So obviously like there's some adjustings required by like building E-Blade, for example, but like that's not the biggest inconvenience. I guess the Nullifier is not the biggest inconvenience either for PA because you really don't care about crit and whatnot, and you're mainly just going for plus damage. So, alright, maybe that's not super valid in this case specifically, but I think that's something to keep in mind. Well, this is probably it's SEA. SEA doesn't give up. This is an NA. So we'll see. Why am I focused on Drow? Oops. Alright, let's take respawns. They're going down the last lane. Let's pick. Just from the game timer. It says 10 more minutes. They might win a high ground fight. Unless this timer's off and like didn't count draft or something. You gotta want to pay positioning. Tiny's dead, so he can play more aggro because he doesn't have to worry about this huge chunk of burst damage. So he's willing to just, yeah. Bat Rider. I almost said lasso, man. Bat Rider's showing top. CM's doing this to zone. And it's just over. Undying shenanigans. Cool. Huh. That was an interesting game. I think what's crazy to me also is that, like, considering he had so many kills and was, like, so aggressive, and yet he still had difficulty then, or he wasn't, like, super far ahead, or wasn't able to, like, solo carry, which I think is important to keep in mind. It's like, let me give it some water. Because this idea, too, that I brought up in my Sanking game, like, regardless of how far ahead you are, in all likelihood, you can't solo kill or solo carry the game. And that's something I really noticed, that there's only times where I'm like, oh, all my teammates are trash, blah, 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 which is definitely not a healthy mentality. But instead, he's, like, walking around, like, with his Vengeful Spirit. Or with the CM. Because he knows, oh, I bring a shit ton of control and damage, and I just, like, a little extra push, a fucking CM stun, a Venge stun or whatever, is enough to, like, fill the gaps between the times where his blood rate cooldowns are. So you can, like, W Atos, Venge stun, a W again, and that's enough to kill a lot of the heroes in, like, that mid-game time. Especially, like, this Grimstruck who's struggling really hard. Also, this pick makes a lot of sense versus, like, he knows their top player is playing Pangolier. Bloodseeker's such a pain to deal with. But yeah, he's, like, doing this +1 with the supports that I definitely don't do. Like, I need to get better at, like, let's see, let's write this down. Alright, here, I can show my notepad now. Slightly over, so, starting items. Win Uv, winning lane. You definitely highly prioritize this. Just to push his advantage further. He spams W. I probably have to do some math. The mana scales up kind of slowly. It's like 10 mana per level. Let's check real quick. PS. We can see that. My stats are okay, but like I've not tried this offlane shenanigans with him. But blood rate, Damage goes up 50%. Mana goes from 70 to 80. Okay. So I guess it's still like a mega value spell, especially level 1. 70 mana for 120 pure damage is insane. I wouldn't be surprised if they rescale this, but... So he's fine spamming at level 1. A level 1 spell even when he's level 2. It's just so efficient. Zones him off the wave, whatever. Especially when you can combo it up with some hero with a stun or a root or whatever. It seems like a great example because you bring so much to the table. What else we got? We got contest small camp pools. You can zone the supports with his W. Like I just said, like it's low mana cost. You just drop it down. It's like, what are they gonna do? You steal some CS. You can pull the creeps back away. In theory, you can do this as well when like the carry is under their tower, and just be really fucking annoying. There's this Jenkins idea that assume that enemies will do the right move. Because like, imagine how much harder this game would have been if he fed when the Tiny came over. That would have been a fucking disaster. Prioritizing power runes during the mid game. His idea that we can just focus on 2 lanes instead of 3. Like he goes from there. But there's a time like even a catapult was hitting the top tier 2, and he really wasn't that concerned about it because of where you put pressure elsewhere. And playing between, like, if you can take the offlane tower, which is the dead lane for the enemy team a lot of times, which shouldn't be the most difficult thing, because eventually the carry's gonna, I've said this before, the carry's always gonna leave the lane eventually. Like, they're only getting so much farm if they stay in the safe lane. So they're gonna go to the triangle, they're going through the jungle, whatever. You can bully the supports, you can actually, like, force this tower down. Like, they're not gonna commit that many resources. They might from time to time. There's definitely games that I see that people are throwing themselves at the tower, but that's making room for everyone else. So I think eventually the tower will go down. You can play around that area, you can play around mid, and I think just going between them just puts a lot of map pressure for the enemy team, because like their map gets shrunk so small then. Of course, when you're not like winning as hard, you might not be able to force this mid tower down as quickly, but just being able to like constantly push it down with this high damage, low mana cost nuke is also very valuable. I really like him finishing Hood over finishing Greaves, because I've definitely thrown games by not doing this and getting a Hood too late, and then just like dying to magic damage when it definitely never had to happen. Also like the casual Hood that he didn't go for. You didn't really notice it until like the Tiny did the huge amount of damage, but also this game like PA was a primary concern, so he got that like casual medallion. He never upgraded it, right? I don't think so. I think the game ended before that point. Yeah. I think some casual medallions are actually really interesting, especially with like the Sage's Mask nerf down to 0.6 mana regen instead of 1 a couple patches ago. And like Bassi is solid, so that costs a lot. 1.4 medallion gives 5 armor and 1.25 mana regen. What else gives 5 armor? Chainmail, right? 4 armor, sorry, 550. Okay, I think this is interesting. I think this is an interesting idea. So I'll have to check this in the future. Also, I just realized my thing was blocking actual medallion text, but whatever. We have these cutting waves when on the offensive. So like you're pushing down, either you're like hitting tier 3s, hitting tier 2s, probably primarily when you're hitting tier 3s, because then you're closer to their spawn and you can more easily rotate between the lanes. That you'll go over and you can just always check. They spawn every 30 seconds. You look at your own creeps, you see where they are, and you're like, oh, wait, cool. Creeps are here. I'll go grab them and just cut them. It puts more map pressure for very low commitment. Of course, you have to be a little bit careful depending on who does it, because in theory you can have support do it. But if the enemy team sees that, they're like, you have 4 people mid and 1 person in the opposite lane, they'll just like jump them and kill them. But thankfully, again, if you're like pushing tier 3, you're relatively close to each other, so hopefully your teammates respond in time if something like that happens. And then I really like the Seablade versus PA, or just like specifically itemizing versus the PA. Because a lot of times I think like Halberd or something could be useful. But I guess that's not something you do when the PA just BKBs, because you need to do something when the PA BKBs and Blink strikes the draw, because that will happen. That is their priority, whether it's because the Batrider got a Flame Lasso on her or whatever. So I think Medallion's pretty interesting. Lotus Orb could be interesting as well. I'm not sure if Lotus Orb works on Phantom Strike to give like your character extra bonus speed. Also really like Bloodseeker in general. There's been this trend of like 4 Protect 1 type strategies, and you get like Magnus is mega popular right now because you empower, haha, yeah, you empower with empower crazy characters like PA, or there's a lot of invokers, even like Invoker 4s. I think Kuroki played an Invoker 5 in a pro match relatively recently, like within the last week, just because of like how strong Alacrity is going high ground. I have my own personal donuts. Let me pull these up because BSJ had this very interesting concept for like winning the games that he was smurfing in, where it's like farm lanes, you gotta have survivability or some kind of escape, and then you need to be able to go high ground. And I think a lot of these spells that empower, I need to use a bad adjective, but whatever, I'll just stick with empower, that empower your carries are very useful. And I think Bloodseeker Q is super underrated in that sense. Like it's something I don't really think about, and it's like this last spell you get, whatever, but it's 140 attack speed. That's a free, how much is Moon Shard? I don't really know these. 5k trash, by the way. It's a Moon Shard. This is 4,000 gold worth of value. Sure, you like lose HP per second or whatever, but if you're like sieging or whatever, I think like this makes a huge difference. So, yeah, I think the next video to is probably gonna be a replay analysis with someone. Someone requested I did that. He's like 3k MMR or whatever, but see how that goes. Hopefully, people get something out of this. I also want to look at Night Stalker next because Night Stalker is a hero that I personally very much enjoy.
Let the seas run red.
Okay on him, whatever. I think Tide Hunter could be interesting too. This is a ridiculous win rate, but I think Night Stalker has the highest offlane win rate on Dota 2 Pro Tracker, so at pro level probes. I've been okay on with them recently. So I think that'll be really interesting to look at because I personally have a concern also with heroes that don't have this wave clear, which Night Stalker does not have. I've been testing like a Meteor Hammer Night Stalker idea, which seems kind of interesting, or just obviously he has like really nice wave clear once he has Ags, but like that's usually not into like 15-20 minutes into the game. So I think it'd be really interesting to see like how do they properly pressure with this hero. And I think Night Stalker is a really nice hero to be like, hey, I'm very obviously strong. It is nighttime. I am strong. Team group with me. Let's see what we can do. So hopefully there's a lot of opportunities to learn there. So yeah, hopefully this was useful, and thanks.